Alrighty guys, welcome back to another tutorial. Today we're going to be doing something similar to the last video. I'm going to go to my Google Chrome here. We are on thehappytoolbox.com. Again, these are all paid assets. They're really high quality 3D models that you can use for your renders. Today, I think I'm going to pull in the Trophey. The Trophey one was just, I don't know what it was about it, but I was like, this is the one I'm going to use for this render. We're just going to create a nice still render. I don't think I'm going to make an animation with this, although I say that now. We'll see what happens. Let's go ahead and start by importing this FBX file into a new Blender document. I'm going to go ahead and locate that. It is in another folder. Hold on one second, guys. So sorry. Trophey, high quality. We'll just go ahead and drop that into our downloads, and then we'll import our FBX. And here it is right here. And there it is. So here is our high quality model. I'm going to turn on my random material view so I can see the separated pieces. And let's just go ahead and jump right into this. Let's snap to our camera. You already know I'm going to use an orthographic camera for this just because I don't know. I like the orthographic perspective. I'm going to go ahead and switch this to a nice 45-degree angle for our camera and a 52.7-degree angle. That's too steep. I'm going to lower it. And I'm going to give this a 7 for our X position, -7. Keep it nice and centered. Delete that area light. Get out of here, mister. And go ahead and add in a plane underneath of our trophy. Scale that way up. Make sure you apply your scale just in case you're going to add materials. And as you can see, this is our completed render. Just kidding. Let's go ahead and add an HDRI. I'm going to go ahead and click on this little dot here, add an environment texture. And I'm just going to select something very bright like this. As you can see, we have our HDRI imported and we are ready to start texturing and adding materials. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on my main trophy, and I'm already thinking gold. I think a lot of you guys are probably thinking that too. So I'm going to start out by kind of selecting some sort of yellow-orange color, maybe not too saturated. I'm going to bump up that metallic value, and I think I'm going to lower the roughness all the way and just see what that looks like. Now we can also go ahead and add that material to our side right there. Now for this bottom part, I'm not sure what I'll do yet. This is what it would look like if we made every single material the same, right? We're going to get that nice metallic effect. I think it's slightly too saturated. I'm going to lower the saturation just a little bit. That looks nice. And then for our base of the floor, I'll just make that a really dark color with a high roughness. That looks great. So far looking good. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to drop the floor down. I'm going to have this thing floating, right? The floor, don't even worry about that. Camera, we're going to go ahead and bump up our pass part out so we can really see what this thing's going to look like. You already know I'm enabling depth of field. Go ahead and select that trophy as our object. And as you can see, we have a really intense depth of field. Switch over to material preview, unselect our object, decide where we want our focal point to be, and then bump that back up to an f-stop of f3, maybe f5. That way we still get our depth of field and you can see these blurry parts, but you're still kind of getting a really cool render. Zoom in more on our object, frame it up, and let's see what this looks like real quick. Looks pretty cool. Turn off our overlays, quickly preview this, see how it's looking. I'm thinking we add some silver to the base. So let's go ahead and duplicate our material, reduce our saturation, and let's just see what that looks like. I'm going to copy this material over. I'm curious what it would look like if the whole base was silver. Interesting. Not quite what I was expecting. And I actually think I'm going to remove this plane for a second. And I think we're going to choose a more complicated background. Let's go ahead and go with power plant. That might be too much. Let's see. It's also about lighting, guys. Don't forget that. You know what we didn't add yet? We didn't add any real lighting yet. That's not going to work. Not bright enough. We could go with the studio environment. Sometimes that does not work. It's not terrible. You're going to get a lot of black spots when you use a studio environment, so be super careful about that. Let me actually go ahead and switch it back. I actually did like this one. This one was pretty fair. All right, let's add in an area light. Add light, area light. Bring that all the way up. Scale it. Bring it all the way up out of our scene, or out of our camera view. Let's try 500 watts for the power, and then I'm going to scale it on the y-axis like that and scale it down nice and slim on the x. That'll give us some really interesting highlights. You can see as I move, so this is kind of a fun little example. As I move along the x-axis, notice how our lighting changes, right? And then if I bump that up to 1000, you get an even different result. And then I'm actually going to bring the floor up a little bit. Interesting. Okay. Not really what I was going for, but it doesn't look terrible. We can also increase the size of it. That's a little more like it. Now we have these highlights on our rim. It's kind of what I was looking for. That looks pretty good. And we have this nice intense shadow underneath of our subject. So far so good. I think I'm going to make this have some super crazy texture. I'm also going to bring this back to the way it was before, and I'm going to add a nice grid floor texture. The reason I like a grid floor texture so much, you guys are probably wondering why I'm so obsessed with it. I just think it adds an easy sense of depth and scale. I'm going to go back to my other render from the previous video, and I'm quite literally going to copy this grid floor, and I'm just going to paste it into my trophy file. And there it is. And our original plane, we can hide that. And let's see. We'll get rid of this. And we'll pop back into the camera view, and that looks really nice. However, I want to go ahead and make this a lot darker because I think it's going to contrast with the gold very nicely. We're going to copy that over. We're going to adjust our grid level. That already looks so nice. I know it's kind of hard for you guys to tell because of the way I have you set up on my live stream. There you go. There's a little bit of a closer angle for you. So I'm blocking the camera, but that's okay. Sorry about that, guys. If you're on YouTube, I apologize. There we go. That's better. All right. So let's go ahead and click on our material, our gold material. Go over to the shading tab. Here we are in the shading tab right here. Go ahead and add in a image texture. Now, this is a little trick I used last time. You guys seem to really like this trick, so I'm going to show you again. I'm going to go to my downloads. I'm going to locate my file that has like a fingerprint on it. There it is right there. This is just an image. This is a great image to use for this. And now watch what happens when I add in a few more nodes and plug in the mapping. Mapping, we're going to add a mapping node. We're going to add a texture coordinate node. Guys, this is really all it takes. I don't know why more people don't do this. Maybe they do. Maybe I'm totally missing out on what you guys have been up to. But to be honest, I don't see anybody else doing this. I always see them using Substance Painter, which is a great program, or I see them doing some crazy node setup that, to be honest, seems completely unnecessary for what you're trying to accomplish. Look at that. Already got texture in there, and I've barely done anything. Let's go ahead and take a look at the rendered view of this. And that's just plugging it into the roughness. I haven't even adjusted the color ramp at all. If we do mess around with this color ramp, zoom in here. So here's what we have right now. We have a nice scratched surface. Look at that. I can completely adjust the way I want this to look. And it looks really cool. Right now we have it on flat. We can also adjust the scale. So look at that fingerprint. Oh, look at that. I mean, how much effort did I just put in there, guys? I think I spent 1 second, not even, putting that image texture on. Now, you do have to be careful. Here's why. Notice what's happening right here. This is where the image is getting cut off. Now, there is a way to combat that, if I can remember what it was. Oh, also make sure this is set to non-color, not sRGB. Sorry. There we go. And if you want to increase that contrast, just adjust your sliders as needed. Where is the, instead of repeat, you're going to do, is it extend? I want to say it's extend. Hold on. There is a way to fade it in. I just don't remember what it is at the moment. If I remember, I'll let you know. For now, I'm just going to let that slide. Another quick way to combat that, you can adjust the rotation. That helps a little bit. Let me just do that. All I'm doing right now is adjusting the rotation so I can't see that in my rendered view. But look how cool that looks. So simple, but so effective. And now every single part on here has like a nice texture to it. I'm definitely going to go to my camera. I am going to go ahead and adjust my depth of field again because this is too much. I'm going to try 10. That looks a lot better. And then I'm going to adjust my distance. Make sure that fingerprint is nice and crisp. There we go. That looks so cool. All right, even in material preview, and then we hop back over, and this just looks awesome. Let me go ahead and quickly switch off my area light, see how that looks. Area light's definitely helping here. Let me adjust the roughness of my material for my grid floor. I'm just going to go ahead and take a look and see how this is going to look if I bump that roughness up. Definitely helps a little bit. I kind of like that, and I think this gray could be a little bit darker, but still apparent enough. Again, this is what you have to worry about right here. See how that's repeating right there? Let's go ahead and switch this to texture, and let's adjust our scaling. Again, this is too much. I'm going to go for 0.5 on all sides. Now it's fixed, should be. See, we're still getting an issue right here, so I'm going to create a new material for this. I'm going to switch this over to, how about a scale of 1? That's fine. And if you have to do that for each individual object, I say that's fine. Again, this is me fixing those issues. Is it a really quick and cheap workaround? Should I be doing it like that? I guess not. But do I really care? Not really. So, again, this is me just kind of having fun. This isn't for a client project. This isn't for something super serious. This is quite literally just for fun. Notice how different everything becomes when I'm just adjusting the roughness of that, what is it called? Brick floor texture. Just becomes a whole different beast. Let me go ahead and drop this down. I kind of like it sitting on the surface. I don't know about you guys. And let me go ahead and take my camera, and I'm going to zoom out quite a bit. And I think so here's where it could get really interesting. We could have something happening here where, you know, maybe this is rotating, the whole thing is rotating, this or that. Let's see. So we could have this thing rotating. I kind of just like the idea of it being just a still render and then zooming in and seeing these really, really fine details. I think that could be really fun, really cool. We could mess around a little bit more with the materials. To be honest, this piece right here could very well just be like a glossy black material. Or gray, perhaps. Oops. All right, maybe something like that. Low roughness. No, that doesn't quite work for me. That's kind of interesting. And then this could be what? This could be like a silver, perhaps. With a low roughness. High metallic. Interesting. I could have something engraved on that. That could be fun. We could try that. Yeah, let me see what I can do here, because I'm thinking now I could engrave something onto that. There's just quite literally too many options in Blender. Like, there's just so much that you can do. It's what is the right move. This looks really cool. Let me see what HDRI I have. This looks nice. Okay, I'm thinking what I'll do now is I might have to take a look at my other materials. This right here, though, I do think we can engrave it. I don't know with what, though. Let me just try to add my name. Let's go ahead and add some text. I'm going to tab into edit mode so I can adjust this. I'm just going to type out Kenny, or lowercase Kenny, actually at Kenny phases. Bring that up, scale it down. Now I'm going to go ahead and zoom in on this. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to turn this into 3D text. And to do that, I'm just going to go over to the text tab, geometry, extrude. I'm just going to extrude it a little bit like that. That looks fine. Right click, convert to mesh. And as you can see, it's a really messy mesh. Like, it's not great geometry. So I'm just going to go over to our modifiers, remesh, smooth, remove disconnected. I'm going to uncheck that. And then I'm just going to do 8 for the level. Maybe 9. That looks good. Apply that. Now, as you can see, it's a little bit of a better geometry to work with. RX90 to rotate it. RZ90 to rotate again. I'm going to pop into my side view here. I am going to place this as I want it. I think that looks pretty good. I am going to zoom in yet again. Push that right into my surface here until it's like cutting into the surface. And then I think I'll just apply a boolean to this. Now, let me see the geometry. Okay, geometry is pretty good on this. I'm going to add a Boolean modifier. This might freeze up my computer a little bit. Let's see how it does. I'm going to click on the eyedropper, click on my name, and I'm just going to unhighlight my name, and it doesn't look terrible. You know what I forgot to do, though? I forgot to shade my name smooth. Oops. Shade it smooth. Let's try that. And then I'm going to click on this, choose fast. As you can see, you get really glitchy really fast, so you do have to be careful. I'm actually going to shade that flat. Yep, that's fine. Doesn't look terrible. You could add a smooth modifier to this. As you can see, the text is cut out. And from a distance, let's just see. You're not really going to notice it. I'm going to change this back to gold. Kind of cool, though. Quick little way to cut something out of another object. And it does look nice, though. Like, it came out pretty nice, actually. Kind of fun. I kind of wish you could see it a little bit more. Let me adjust my depth of field here. You guys see why my projects take so long now? Because I'm constantly trying to make the coolest stuff. I'm trying to make it, like, not perfect, but acceptable. Let's see. Not quite. It's funny that you can really raise this depth of field and still get a depth of field effect in the background without making this bad. Here we go. 11. That's not bad. All right, let's see. And let's go ahead and zoom in here. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. I'm pretty happy with this. The depth of field isn't quite what I want. I think I might adjust the angle a little bit. That's definitely a little bit better. And then for this piece, do I want to go back to gold? Who am I kidding? Yes, I do. All right, we're just going to make the whole thing gold. Why? Because I think it looks better. This. That looks good. I mean, the only thing I can think of is maybe adjusting the scale of the floor a little bit. And then, of course, the depth of field. So for our camera, I'm going to push this back to 15 and -15. And then I'm going to go ahead and bring the Z up. So we're focused on this again. And I'm going to go to my material preview and adjust my focal length. That's more like it. Let's go ahead and check that out. The only other thing I can think of is to adjust the lighting. As always, guys, let's experiment around with this lighting. Nope, not what I was looking for. Although that does look kind of cool. You know, I am kind of curious now that we're in this spot, if I switch this to perspective, what this would look like. Nah, I like orthographic. Orthographic's definitely the move for this render. All right, let's go back, adjust our HDRI again. Whoa, completely different. You know, it's funny because these really pop now. Let me try my trick from before. Let's go ahead and go to our world. Let's add in our nodes. And I know what you're thinking, Kenny, enable node wrangler. Nah, I'm good. I like adding the nodes manually. Me personally. I just feel like it's more shortcuts to remember if not. All right, let's go ahead and adjust the Z value. Whoa. Wow, look at that lighting changing. See, this is what I was talking about. This is why lighting is so important. The other part of it is I could probably adjust the positioning of the objects too. Look at that. Let me go ahead and adjust this shader because I actually kind of like the lighting right here. It's kind of nice and crisp. Although see, we're getting the duality here, or the the repeating here. I thought I had fixed that earlier. Apparently not. Oh, that's because I changed it back to the other material. Boom. There we go. That's fixed. We're good there. And for this, maybe not as much of a bump there. There we go. And then scale. Looks kind of nice. I feel like that's pretty good. I know it's hard for you guys to see here. Let me go ahead and fix that. There you go. Should be able to see better on the live stream now. I think this looks good. This is just a fun little render. We have our area light up top helping us out a lot. I might add one reflection plane and see if I can get that to work. So here's a plane. You know what's a really fun thing to do that I haven't done before, or in a while? Go ahead and split this so that I can actually see what's happening as I adjust this. So And the reason I'm doing this is to show you guys what the difference is here. All right, here we go. So if I took this, moved it out of frame, look at the trophy and look what happens when I take this, scale it up, move it on the Y. Look at the trophy. Look at the lighting on the trophy. Do you see why we use reflection planes? Here we go. Scale that up a little bit. And then I'm going to go to my top-down view. Look at that. I'm going to go ahead and show you before and after. All right, here's before, after. Sorry, I know you guys can't see that on the live stream. Before, after. Before, after. Again, you don't have to use this, but look at the difference we're getting here. I mean, it's quite apparent what's happening. I do notice one thing that I'm not happy with, and that's this line right here. We're going to fix that right now. We're going to go to the shading tab. We're going to zoom in on our object, and we're going to fix this like area right here. This is going to be, so the reason that's happening is because of the way this is rotated. I'm going to simply duplicate this material, and I'm going to do that. I just adjusted the rotation, and I think that's much more fitting. All right, let's go back to the layout, see how this is looking. Pretty excited about this. I think it looks good. I think it's a fun little render. The only thing I would change is quite possibly the actual background itself. And let me just adjust the tile. This is just, that's kind of nice. I don't know if I hate it. Honestly, I don't know if I hate it. There's really no texture in the background anymore, but this is pretty cool looking. Yeah, that's pretty nice. I like it a lot. The only other thing I could... All right, this will be the final thing I add. Let me drop the floor down. Let me go back to solid view. Let me add in a cylinder, and I'm just going to make a little like base for this thing, right? Just a little base. Let's go ahead and zoom in on the cylinder. Let's add in a bevel modifier. Let's add in an edge split and a subdiv. And also go ahead and click on Object, Apply Scale, adjust that bevel, adjust those subdivisions, right-click, Shade Smooth, add a few segments into your bevel there, go to Rendered View, line everything up. Actually, Solid View would be better for this. And let's go ahead and drop that floor down, make sure it's right below our plane or our cylinder. Let's go to Rendered View, click on that, add a new material, snap the camera view, metallic all the way up, and roughness down to maybe 0.1. Looks nice. And then let's see if we can adjust this value. Nah, it doesn't really look quite right. Looks cool though. All right, the only other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate that a couple of times, scale it down, and then we'll adjust our camera view. Shift D to duplicate, scale that up. Bring it up to this object, apply, scale, and that's going to go ahead and adjust that bevel. If you don't apply your scale, you're going to have all sorts of weird things happening. And hold on, let me adjust the plane, make sure it's very much right up on the edge of the cylinder. Looking good. Let's check rendered view. Let's adjust our camera angle here and zoom. And that looks really nice. I love it. Only other thing I could do is maybe duplicate this material and either bring up the roughness or... Oh, we could make this gold. Hold up. Ah, looks kind of fun. The texture's a little wacky. Here, let me go back to shading. Let me duplicate the material again. And let me just plug in a different texture. Oh, I wonder what this would look like. Hold up. Look at all these fun textures I have that we could mess with. Like, it's funny because you see these ones right here? You can click on those, and then look at that. It's literally just you're taking a black and white image, and you're just using it as the roughness. Like, wherever there's black pixels, it's either going to be more rough or less rough, depending on your color ramp. But it's really fun to mess around with this. I mean, look at that. Look at that material that I just made with, like, zero effort. Now, obviously, you don't have to do this, but like that's kind of fun. See that? Now, obviously, this might not be what you're looking for, but kind of a fun way to just quickly add a material. Go ahead and copy that over to my other silver material, and I'm just going to plug this right into our roughness. Pretty interesting. And what you can really do to easily make this look better is you can just bump up the scale, or you can keep it at 1. And then you can just like make it very, very subtle by bumping up this black value on the color ramp. Same here. And just making that scale 1. You don't have to do this, but it's an easy way to like add scratches. I'm going to actually switch this out for something that's not an ice texture. Maybe we'll use this like spotted texture. It doesn't quite work. And I'm probably going to go back to the original texture. Funny enough, we'll look through. Oh, this is nice. Oh, we got the brushed metal. That's right. That's kind of nice. Let's go ahead and bump that scale up to 3. And let's go ahead and make it much more subtle. Again, you don't have to do this, guys. You don't have to do this, but it's just what I'm doing. Let's check this out. Let's add one more texture here, guys. Thank you for your patience. This is like kind of part of the experimenting. You don't really know what you're going to do until you just start messing around with your models and your lighting and your materials. I find this part really fun because I get to experiment and just try different things. See that? Like, that's not going to work. Whatever I just put in there won't work for this. It just might not look good. It might like work, like the actual technical side of it, but it just won't look good. See, look, this is like a carbon fiber pattern here. This is like a marbled look. That one does work, but it just looks different. See, look. Look at that texture I have now. Kind of interesting. Kind of just like a fun little render. And I love this method because I feel like there's so much we can do with this. And this is me just like barely scraping the surface. I haven't even gotten into fading out that texture, which you can easily do with color ramps, texture coordinates, mix nodes, stuff like that. Like, you can get really, really heavy into this stuff. I could make another quick tutorial about that, but this is looking good so far. I think I'm going to render this out at a very large image size. All right, we'll do 200% of that. We'll do, instead of 300 samples, we'll do 150. Let's go ahead and render that, and let's see what that looks like. Curious to see how long it's going to take. It says about 3 minutes. It probably will take less than that. Sorry for those on Instagram that can't see. Again, I'm zooming into these textures here. You can see you're getting cut off here, so I'm going to have to take another look at this specific shader. I'm just going to duplicate it, adjust the scaling, the rotation, make sure it's fitting the way that I want it to. This is an interesting texture. Again, we just basically made this by finding an image we liked online, applying the non-color attribute in shader editor, and then just plugging it into a few nodes and the roughness. It really took all of a couple of minutes, and it looks really, really nice. And then, of course, denoising is going to kick in there, and now we have our trophy. And look at those details. The craziest part is if you really, really, really wanted to, you could take a really high-resolution camera, if you have one. You could take a piece of paper or maybe like a plate or something with like a darker background. You could maybe put some oil on your fingers, make a few fingerprints, take a high-resolution photo, increase that contrast in Photoshop, and plug in your own real textured image. You could do that. Like, you could do that. I haven't done it. You could. More than likely, when they made this, whoever made this on Unsplash, they probably were in a studio. They had really nice lighting set up. They, dipped their finger in some olive oil and then pressed it onto a piece of paper, like a black piece of paper, and they had this perfect fingerprint. And then they just scratched it up with a fork or something like that. But at the end of the day, we're just dealing with black and white pixels. We're plugging them into the roughness value, and that's going to give us different levels of roughness on our surface. So it's really quite simple. But again, if you wanted to go out of your way to do this kind of stuff, you could, right? You could do that. This came out pretty interesting. It's probably a little bit too much texturing for the bottom part, just because that's supposed to be like the platform. Like, it probably wouldn't be as touched as the trophy itself would be. So I'm just going to go ahead and save this to my downloads real quick, just because I like to save every render. Sometimes I like having those initial renders just to hold on to. But this looks really nice. Overall, I'm pretty happy with it. I'll probably adjust it a little bit more as we go. Those fingerprints just came out so nice. I mean, look at that. I mean, that's awesome. And you can adjust the level too, of course. This technique would work really well on glass. So this came out really nicely. I'm pretty happy with it. And the model itself is just fantastic. So quick last minute shout out to the Happy Toolbox. So again, they have some great digital assets that you can use for your renders. Fantastic. I will be putting the link in the description for them. I'm not sponsored by them. They just said, hey, we'll give you some assets. Please give us some cool digital renders. No problem. Like, you can guarantee I'm going to do that. And just so many of these are so great to work with. So I'm probably going to do another render, but this just looks great. And I'm very pleased with the way this came out. So if you guys are watching on YouTube, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you got some value out of this. I know that I haven't posted in a while. I've just been super busy. But again, I do think there was a lot of different things that I taught in this tutorial slash just kind of walkthrough for my art style. And I think it turned out pretty nice. So I'm really happy with this. I hope you guys enjoyed. Have a great day. If you're watching on YouTube, if you're on Instagram, stay tuned for a quick questionnaire. Guys, don't forget to follow me on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Gumroad, which is where I sell my digital assets and my new blueprint shader, as well as Blender Market. I also have the shader available on Blender Market. Every link will be in the description below. You guys have a fantastic day, and I will see you in the next YouTube tutorial.